Gonna do some live printing, y'all. Some Saturday afternoon printing while the kids are asleep, or my son. Daughter's gone in a writing lesson. So we'll see if anybody's online. Get a better camera hooked up here. And we'll get going. All right. Cool. Well, I'm going to do the whole process. I haven't done anything yet. I haven't even taped up the screen. I am heating up my platens right now, getting those prepped. I always do that while I'm getting everything else ready. Right Beats. What's up, man? Finally able to join. So just a simple print today. It's a reorder, add-ons for a order I did recently. White t-shirts, black ink, doesn't get any easier than this. See if I can get a better view of the registration while I'm doing that. I'd like to show you guys the whole process. There we go. Good right there. Switzerland, wow. That's incredible. What's up, Plot and Stitch? Thanks, Rye. DJing a wedding today. You do that every weekend, don't you? Seems like you stay pretty busy with that. What did I do with that tape? There it is. Ryan, we were just talking yesterday on your live about the weather, and sure enough, we got like 3 or 4 inches of snow last night. I'm tired of it. If anybody has any questions while I'm doing this, drop them in the chat. Obviously printing water-based ink because it's all I do. Don't like how that went on there. Can you do water-based printing on a shirt, like a shirt that's not a t-shirt? Is that what you're asking? Like, a different material or something. And I'm sorry if that tape ripping is too loud. Yeah, let me know. Are you meaning just a different type of shirt, like a button down or something like that? Mover screen printing and got to order. They want shirts to print on. Yes. Okay. So, I mean, typically the answer is yes. Like, you can print on just about anything. And in fact, you can print, you can print on more things that are not apparel with water-based printing than you can with plastisol, simply because water-based, you can get it to air dry. With certain types of water-based ink and certain catalysts, you can get it to air dry. But I'm not totally sure what type of shirt you're referencing, but if it's like a polo or a pullover, or a button down, this is water-based printing, but it's just a sweatshirt. Polyester. It really just doesn't matter. That I've tested it on anything, and anything that I've tested on has worked. Where you might run into some issues would be something like that has some sort of water coat or a waterproof coating on it. Like a rain jacket or bomber jackets. I've never done those. There may not be an issue, but I'm not sure if that answers exactly what you're looking for, but typically the answer is yes, you can print water-based on it, but I would just test it to make sure. So I'll move this around. You guys can watch me mix the ink here. See if that gets a good shot. You can see my green tea, but that's about it. Let's move this over here so you can see it. Black ink, which I'm actually out of in that small container. I have the big containers, but I hate using these things, so I just keep a small container, and I never rinse this out. This is just my black ink container. I bought some black ink in it a long time ago, and then I've always been doing the gallon container since then, and I just keep refilling this because it's easier to handle. So while I'm at it, I'm just going to refill it. Pull my sleeve up because I don't want to ruin this hoodie. Typically water-based ink comes out real easily, but when it's black, man, if I were to get black on this, even not curing it, it would ruin it. They want casual shirts. Yeah, it just depends on the material. So, but for the most part, I think I don't think you'll have any issues. If it's a shirt that they are providing, then I would ask them to provide more than is needed, or in fact, the best thing to do would be to say, hey, I'm not totally sure. Can you provide one that you're okay with that gets screwed up that I can test with? And I would test it and see. So print it, however you're curing, if you do like me, where you're curing with a low cure additive with a flash, then do whatever it takes for you to cure that shirt, keep it for a couple of days, and then wash it once or twice and see how that works, and then use that as your determining factor as to, okay, yeah, that I'm confident in how that worked out, and you're willing to take the order. But then if it does work out and you take the order, make sure they provide more than the actual quantity they need, so that if something does go wrong, you don't have to worry about the fact that now they need more but you can't do it because you screwed one up. They need to provide more than they need to allow for errors. And then, if nothing goes wrong, you either give those back to them, and if they got it at a store, they can keep the tags on and return it. Or if they would like you to print them if nothing goes wrong, then print it and give it to them as a good, as just out of kindness. Don't charge them extra for it, or charge a discounted rate or something. Yeah, if it's 50-50, I don't think you're going to have any issues. I've printed several 50, I mean, many 50/50s. I was trying to look, no, I think this is a tri-blend. That's a tri-blend there. These are 100% cotton that we're doing today. Yeah, I don't think you'll have any issue. I don't think you'll have any issue. I would just be concerned about how easy it is to replace them if something were to go wrong, simply because it's customer product. And I do that even when I'm confident that printing on the shirt is going to work well. So I would highly recommend doing that. All right, gonna mix some ink here as soon as this starts up. Pretty much pouring out exactly what I just poured in here. We're gonna go with that, 209 grams. See how much catalyst we need to do. Oh, 209.55. Do 1.5% of the low cure catalyst, which, you know, you either multiply your number by 0.015 and that gets you the amount, then you add that back to your original, or take the easy route like I do and multiply it by 1.015 and you get your total. So I was at 209.55, now I'm at 212.69. So I need to add catalyst to this until it gets to 212.69. Okay, good there. It was a little bit over, but I'm not going to worry about it. Then we just mix it up. Stupid spatula, I got it on my fingers. Yeah, no problem. I really don't think you'll have any issues. I think you'll be fine. 50/50 is a pretty standard material blend, unless it's just something super unique and random. I don't think there are going to be any issues with it. Let's get this back over here. What else? Either print questions or just small talk. What's everybody doing this weekend? Besides sitting at home watching me print right now. Mix this up. And I'm mixing in these solo cups. I keep a bunch of solo cups down here to mix ink in whenever I print, because since I'm curing with just a flash and I'm adding this low cure additive, it is ruining the ink. So this ink will get tossed, which I've actually been curious about that, because I watched the live video yesterday of Ryan from Ryanet printing, and he mentioned something about this low cure additive not actually ruining the ink, and you can add it to it again and print with it again at a later time. That's not what it says on the packaging, so I'm not sure what to believe. Because I mean, on the bottle here, it just says use within 4 to 8 hours. So maybe that means that it doesn't make the ink go bad. It just means the catalyst only works for that long, and then you need to add more catalyst if you do it again. I don't know. I've always assumed it meant the ink went bad, so I'm gonna have to get some clarification from Ryanet on that, because that would be good to know. I mean, there are times when I do waste ink because I've, poured out too much and mixed too much and I don't end up needing it. So it would be nice to know if I didn't have to do that. Oh, I didn't tape up my registration marks. Yeah, I think you'll be fine. Tape up my reg marks because I don't need those. All right, I gotta lose this hoodie. All right. Well, let's get going. Grab a squeegee. Don't really have to worry about these being super tacky because I'm only printing one pass because it's black. But I'm gonna go ahead and clean the platens anyways. Just take some water after they've heated up a little bit. Give it a little scrub. That's nice and wet. And now it will tack up. That's how you reactivate the water-based adhesive that I use. I don't. I've considered it, having my own brand. I mean, I used to have another business where I made camping hammocks. Actually have a few hanging up over here that I still make for friends and stuff. But we had apparel that we sold with that one. And I've got some things in the works that maybe might come out later this year that might be more like a brand. But it'll just be backed by my print company, the Alpine Apparel Company. And I do plenty of like designs and stuff for my print company. But as far as like a retail brand, I don't have that. Brands are a lot of work. You know, I feel like a lot of print companies, people that start print companies, you either start it because you want to print your own shirts, or you just want to print, you know. And usually I feel like when they start off as a brand printing their own, they end up printing for other companies anyways. Because the hard thing about printing for your own brand is, due to the nature of screen printing, you want to do a bunch at one time. But what do you do when, you know, I don't know, if you just get one order, or you don't want to do stock, essentially. Like, it's just hard. It just costs more money. I feel like you need more upfront costs. And so I've avoided doing it. I think pre-orders is a great way to go. And if I do anything, it probably be through pre-orders, just so I can still print them in bulk once all the orders are closed. But otherwise, I will just keep printing for other people instead of having a brand. All right, test print on a tiny shirt, barely sticks over the platen, but it's all right. Let that ink kind of. Looks like we're all clear. I'm not going to do a second pass because this doesn't matter. Just making sure everything in the stencil is open and there weren't any issues. And they're not. So just a handful of shirts. This is going to be super quick. Yeah, that's a good way to get started. DTG, you know, gets the design out there and gets the brand out there. I think there's nothing wrong with that, for sure. And then, you know, you could do special releases and do those as pre-order and be able to screen print those. But, you know, I think you just have to be careful mixing quality at this point because your screen printed shirts are going to be a different quality. So, you know, you don't want people to be disappointed with the DTGs when they get, you know, a premium release that's screen printed. But I think getting started, that's a great way to do it. These cotton shirts really soak up the ink. Plus this water-based ink just pushes down into the fibers of the shirt so you're not creating a layer on top like you normally would be with plastisol. So sometimes you got to do multiple passes. I do not like these tubular shirts because I hate lining them up on press. It's so hard. All right, if you're just joining, say something in the chat. Let me know where you're at, what questions you have. This is going to be quick because I only got, I think, 12 or 14 shirts here. So super simple, but just taking my time. See, that's why I hate these tubular. I want the side seam so I can really make sure that it's straight. Thankfully, with the circular design, it's not super obvious if they're somewhat off center or shifted, but obviously I want to have it perfect, and that's just hard to do. Come on, don't be shy. Let's hear those questions. Or where are you from? If you haven't said in the chat, where are you from? How long have you been printing? Should I wash the frame also in darkroom after exposure? After exposure, It depends on the lights that are around you. I mean, you know, if you've watched any of my videos, you see that my lights don't actually affect my emulsion. So I can keep my lights on throughout the whole process. And a lot of people do that if they have certain types of lights. But if you have to be in a darkroom environment, there's still potential that that light could affect it after you've exposed. So just to be safe, I would probably, if I needed a dark room for the rest of the process, I probably would continue to do a dark room when you're washing out, you know, after you've exposed. But it's worth testing because, you know, if it simplifies your process to be able to leave lights on at certain times, then by all means, you know, figure out a simpler way and test it. All right, more questions. Keep them coming. Feels awkward to just sit here in silence with you guys watching me. So I want to talk. Anybody else in the chat printing just water-based ink? Forgot to pull this out. Normally pull it out so I can get to it a little easier. These shirts are for an art class, obviously, at an elementary school, as it says. And I think they like paint them or something. They do some type of artwork on the shirt, kind of like, you know, where if you would do tie-dye or something like that. So I think they're painting them, which is why they're white. It's pretty cool. And apparently the kids loved it because they ordered some more. How many hours need to dry the frame after coating and room temperature? Well, that depends on the humidity in your area and or the humidity in your room, in that room. If you have a dehumidifier in a dark room, you could coat a screen, run that dehumidifier, and be ready to expose that screen in about an hour. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on your area and the size of your dehumidifier. But for me, what I normally do, and I've not really tested this to be able to see if I can do it any faster, because I haven't had a need to. But what I do, there's a piece of lint underneath here. It's actually attached to the shirt. What I do is I coat at night, in the evening. I'll coat and then expose the next morning, mid-morning, afternoon, whenever. The shirt's getting kind of hot over there. I'm going to step aside and print this one. So, you know, it just depends on your environment. I'm in Denver or south of Denver in Colorado, so humidity is very low. You know, so things dry out pretty quickly down here. Although I will say the other night I did mess a couple up. I coated a couple screens and I usually turn a fan on because I'm down here in the basement. It's colder in the basement because, you know, temperature has something to do with it as well. And I didn't turn the fan on, just was in a hurry and rushed out of here and forgot to do that, and then realized that my screens had like areas where the emulsion had kind of pulled up on that, which I've never had that happen, but I could just assume that it's because they were too wet for too long and didn't dry quickly enough. Like I said, normally I turn a fan on pointing right at my drying rack, but I have the sheet over it, so it's not like blowing lint or anything over them. But I have that pointing, just keep air circulating in the room, and I've not had any issues that way. All right, looks like we got 6 people watching. So say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from, how long you've been printing. If you're enjoying it, you could even hit that thumbs up button. Last shirt. Let's hear those questions. Or recommendations. What are you seeing that I'm doing wrong? I'm not the expert here. I'm just figured out ways that work for me, and I'm always open to new and better ways to do things. All you that have dryers out there, I'm jealous. I would love to have a dryer. Unfortunately, I don't have the power down here in the basement to be able to run one. So that's why I just have the flash. And it works just fine. I have not tried puff print, no. I've not had any requests for anything like that, and just not really something that I necessarily am drawn to, so I've not ever tried it. Usually if I'm testing something, it's because I want it myself, like the discharge. I've done discharge many times, but I did it the other day, a couple weeks ago, as an 8-color print. And that was the first time I've ever done an 8-color print, and it turned out great. It was a lot of fun too. It was an awesome shirt, so it's one of my favorites now. Pinpoint printing for over 15 years. Awesome, man. From Cali. So are you doing it? I assume you're doing this full-time, Pinpoint? Is this your full-time gig? And anybody else doing this full-time? Or where are you printing at if you're not? You printing out of your house, basement, garage? Unplug the flash there. Where are you doing this at? Sorry, that's loud, I know. I'm gonna fold them now. I need just a tiny box for these things. Full time at the end of November. That'd be awesome. Tell you what, there's a lot of money to be made in screen printing. It is a business from my experience and the business I worked at and in my own business. There is potential for a very solid career, very solid income if you do it right. And so I think it's a great business to start. I think it's a great industry to be in. Super helpful industry, kind industry, which I love. So I wish you the best, man. I hope that works out. I think you can definitely do that. Let me go grab a box. We'll go ahead and box these up, get them ready to go. Taking this old tape off because I turn the overhead off now. You guys don't need that. All right. Sometimes I like to use my branded tape. It doesn't stick very well to the packing tape. So I take the packing tape off. It usually works out pretty well. Got my branded paper tape here. It's got the adhesive on the back that you need to wet. So approximate length. And it's got sponges, but I'm not doing enough of it really to matter. So I normally just cheat and spritz it with some water. And that gets it done. I've just started to print and fulfillment for 2 local online brands and developing online. That's awesome. That's really cool. It is great if you can get those types of situations where you're printing for a customer that is consistently needing you. That's really awesome. That'll bode well for you. And I'll tell you what, this great thing about screen printing too is, I mean, I've been doing this myself since 2017, and worked at another print company. That got me into the industry back in 2012, and I don't really have a ton of customers, but I've made what would be considered, I feel like, a substantial amount of money just from a few customers. And I don't have just a few customers, but what I mean is, like, you don't have to print very many orders to make some good money in this industry. So I think it's a great business to have. All right, we got 8 people watching. Where are you printing? Where are you watching from? How long have you been printing? Do you have your own business? Is it a full-time thing? Side gig? What you got? I got to clean the screen. I almost forgot. toss that ink. Anybody watching also happen to catch my recent podcast series on pricing and have any feedback or questions or thoughts or opinions on any of that? Pinpoint Full-Time was working at a casino for 10 years and printing, 2019 and COVID happened. Hey, I hope that time was good for you though, even with COVID or especially, I hope you've been able to regain what you had if you lost anything from a business perspective. But I will say one of my best years was 2021. So right after that, I just had a gigantic influx of everybody wanting to print shirts. And of course, that was a really tough time because stock was still an issue, still can be an issue. But hopefully you've been able to recover from the COVID stuff. But that's cool. Are you printing? I forget, did you say? Yeah, where are you printing at? Are you printing at a home Pinpoint, or are you printing at do you have a external location now? I personally don't ever want to not print at home. I don't have any desire to have my own location that's public, if I were to do anything that wasn't like in a basement or something, I would love if I rent this house, so I can only do so much, but I would totally be up for a situation like Lee Stewart has, where it's just a building beside his house. Absolutely, that would be ideal. But I don't have any desire to pay for a commercial space or to have to drive to a commercial space. But that's also coming from a guy who doesn't really want his screen print company to necessarily grow to a full-time thing. I'm happy for it to be a side gig because I'm enjoying that and honestly enjoying doing this teaching and creating these videos more than I do having a print company. So I'd rather do this full-time if I was going to do anything full-time. But I really enjoy my job too, my day job as a consultant. So for marketing automation, that's stuff I really like. So I'm not in any hurry to get out of that, just other than the fact that it's corporate. So I don't love being in a corporate gig, but it pays the bills so that my screen print shop doesn't have the pressure of having to pay the bills. Any questions or thoughts or recommendations on what a future video should be about? What should I cover? I have ideas and I have plans to do things, but honestly, I like it better when you guys ask the questions and then I make the videos to answer those because I feel like I'm being more helpful. So what are you struggling with, or what are you curious about? How long can you keep the exposed screen? Hey Les, honestly, I post exposed in the sun, and so it hardens them, and I've had a lot of great success with that. One of the things about water-based that people say is that your screens are going to break down, and so you do have to use a different emulsion. I mean, I'm using the emulsion that's made for water base and for lasting longer in the screen. But I could keep this screen probably. I mean, I can keep it for however long I want, and it will be fine. I mean, I'm talking like if I want to keep this 6 months to a year or even longer, sometimes that'd be fine. When I worked at the print shop, there were screens that we would burn one time, and we would keep using that same screen for a couple of years because a school would come back twice a year and need those shirts, and so we'd just go pull out their screen, print it, and put it back. And of course, it was plastisol, so it wasn't as big of an issue. But when I printed the big 450 piece order a couple of weeks ago, I printed that over a period of like 4 days, like four different times. It was over a period of like a week or so. But after each time printing, I would print for a couple of hours, and then I took it and I would either wipe it out with the aqua wash like I just did there, or I would take and over to my wash bay and spray it out with just water and clean it out that way, and then just put it back in the rack to dry. And I did that 3 times. Or even the 4th time after I finished the order, the screen had still not broken down. So I still had a good stencil. In fact, I have that stencil right here. So this is the screen. So it's still good. I could still print more shirts with that. So again, I didn't have any issue with it breaking down. So I don't think it always has to be a problem. Pinpoints printing at home. Les has got a shop behind his house. A side gig. Yeah, sometimes it feels like that, Les, for sure. Yep, I feel you there. It feels like a full-time job. I actually don't promote my business for that reason. When I say I don't promote, I mean I post a little bit on social media. I just started doing that kind of this year. I have intentionally not posted on social media or been very active just because I didn't want it to overwhelm me. I didn't want it to get to a point to where it's taking the joy out of it, or I can't keep up, because of my day job and having to do this. And, so it still does feel like a full-time gig a lot of times, but that's fine. What else? Or here's a question. What's your regular job? If you're printing, you're doing this as a side gig. What's your full-time gig? Are you working at a home? Do you have to, do this in nights and weekends, when you come home from the office, or, what's that like? That's one thing I'm thankful for. When I first moved out to Colorado in 2016, started this business in 2017, I was working at a corporate job and at an office. And so I would legit have to do this nights and weekends. So it took up more time then as well. And I still had my outdoor hammock company at that time too. So I was running both of those. And so that just became to be too much, especially doing a product business where you actually make the product it was from scratch. Like we would get raw fiber, or not raw fiber, but like big rolls of fabric and cut them and cut the hammocks and sew them and do it all. It just became to be too much. But thankfully now I work remote. I started working remote actually before all the COVID stuff, and I'll never go back to an office job. So remote there's nothing better as far as I'm concerned. I love being at home. I loved being in an office too. I mean, I enjoy being around people, but honestly, the only thing I missed at an office was the free coffee and snacks, and the ping pong table. people to play ping pong with. I have a table here, but nobody to play with. I do love to play ping pong. But web designer, that's really cool. I've been doing web design just on the side, freelance, and for my own stuff for got my whole career now, so 20 years. So um, love that stuff. So that's cool. That's a cool career to have. And it's beneficial for your screen print company because, you know, that's one of the things about starting your own business is you find very quickly um, what what you can and can't do, and then all the different hats you got to wear, and you got to wear a lot of hats when you're a business owner. So, um, you know, it helps when you have an ability that's kind of outside the company, like web design, or like for me with marketing automation and other business automation, marketing in general has helped me in my business. So, um, staying in the day job just helps me continue to learn so that I can then apply that with my side job. I've always had a side business too, even when it wasn't printing. I did graphic design and web design for people for you know 10 years before I then moved on to something else. CDL truck driver I'm out right now. Oh yeah, hip replacement. I think I remember seeing that Les on one of Rise live chats. Back behind the wheel before long. Well, hopefully that healing process is going well, man. I know those can be. Um, I can just imagine that's a substantial thing is to get a hip replacement. Danny says he's printing in his basement as a side gig, full-time firefighter. Did IT for 17 years in the corporate world. That's cool. So you get. Um, do they let you have any of the equipment at the fire hall? Because you got some downtime there. Maybe you could do some printing there. Um, that would be pretty cool. I bet it would be cool to like. I can imagine a community event at the fire hall to like raise money for the fire department or for some other cause that the fire department supports, where you know you throw open a bay, set a press out there, and do some live printing, and you know have the fire trucks out where people can see them. I don't know. I suddenly just imagined a really cool community event around a fire hall where you're doing live printing. That would be pretty sweet. But appreciate you doing something like being a fireman. That's cool. Les, I can't imagine being the strength that it takes, honestly, mentally and physically both, to be a truck driver. Man, I salute you too, man. We appreciate you guys because without you, we don't get the apparel. We don't get so much of the stuff that we get. Sims, glad you joined. Um, yeah, appreciate it, man. Appreciate you joining and asking questions, and this is why I'm doing this is the joy of the community and getting to know all of you and us helping each other. Again, I'm not coming at you as an expert. I'm coming at you as just another one of you all. Just I'm in the same position. I'm just learning and figuring this stuff out. I just thought I would maybe learn in public so that you could learn too. So that's my goal here. Got a few more people joining. Let's hear where you're from and how long you've been printing and whether it's a full-time gig or side gig. Yeah, let's hear it. Where are you located? Les and Danny, where are you two from? Now we got Pinpoint in California. We had Sims from Switzerland, which was just incredible. That's just, I mean, that's, you know, I'm showing my age here because I'm still just blown away by technology. I mean, I'm a tech geek. I have been for 20 years, but I'm about to be 40 at the end of this year, and it just still just blows my mind that somebody in Switzerland can join in on a live video to a guy here in south of Denver and watch videos. That's cool. Carmelo, what's up, man? Yeah, Carmelo from New Mexico. Take care, Sims. Have a great weekend. Carmelo, good to see you. Hopefully you caught some of the printing. It was a super quick order. I do have some more to do right here. I've got some white shirts. This is actually a not all of these And Newark, New Jersey. That's cool. Never been to New Jersey. I'd like to go to New England sometime, but I want to go. Actually, I take that back. I have been to New Jersey. I think we crossed over to New Jersey um, when I went to Philadelphia in college. We took a trip to Philadelphia. But anyways, I want to go to New England because I want to go up to like the upstate mountains areas and go fly fishing. So I love to trout fish. But anyways, I was saying these shirts here. I've got some tri-blend shirts. I forget how many are actually there. I want to say it's like 20 or something like that. 24 maybe of both. And one is actually getting a direct-to-film transfer, and the other is getting a print. So the other's getting a white water-based print. This is the screen here. So, and it does have a bad spot on the screen, but it's just a super simple print. So I'll do that on white. Might try and do another live on that. Might try and do it tonight. So if you're around tonight, probably around 8 or 9 o'clock Mountain Time, I might be able to do another live printing and do the white ink on those shirts. So I do want to start doing more of these live videos. It's a lot of fun. Les, where at in South Carolina? I'm from Southeast Tennessee. I grew up in Cleveland, Tennessee, just north of Chattanooga, and been to the Carolinas many, many, many times. My cousin lives in, actually, he just moved. I forget where he moved to. He used to live in Raleigh, but I forget where he moved to. It's not Charleston, but somewhere in South Carolina. He used to live in North Carolina. He just moved to South Carolina. I forget. Sumter. All right. Yeah, I know where that's at. Any other questions? Any more questions about water-based printing, about starting a print business, running a print business, promoting one, or even like businessy stuff like email marketing, invoicing? I just did the series on pricing. And any follow-up questions on those? Any feedback or I don't know, anything? Let's talk. I got some more time here. I'm just waiting on my son to wake up. So I've got some more time. I got about probably 15 minutes or so. So what do you got? Don't be shy. I see there's 7 people watching. So let's hear it in the chat. Where are you watching from? How long you been printing, and is it a side gig or a full-time gig? And what questions you have? How do you promote when just starting? So I did a podcast episode about this. I think it was the second episode about finding your first customer. And so I've mentioned a little bit earlier, I don't go out of my way to promote my business. I don't, and what I mean by that is I don't do marketing. I don't do, that's cool, Wes. Yeah, that's cool. Nothing I was talking about is secret or, unique. It's just for some reason not enough people I feel like in the industry have talked about it and let these other people know that are just getting started how to do it. But I didn't post on social media for like 3 years. And I don't buy ads. I don't sponsor events. I don't do anything like that because what speaks louder than anything is the apparel itself. And so the best way that I can recommend you promote when you're just getting started is to give away your shirts. So print your logo or print something. Your logo is one thing. Not everybody's going to want to wear your logo. I get people that wear mine, but it's just friends and family, honestly. Unless I do like a cool design that doesn't look like a logo, but it says my brand name, which I think there's a lot of value in. A lot of brands they get really big sticklers about, that's not my logo. My logo is this, and I can't do anything different. It's like, if it says your brand name, that's all that matters. So I print a bunch of designs like this one. That's not at all my logo, but it's just something unique. Um, so I would print things like that and give them away. But if you can find something that's even more unique for your area, like out here in Colorado, we have the mountains, obviously. The Colorado flag is a big deal. A lot of people love to wear the Colorado flag on anything and everything. Um, Tennessee, where I'm from, the flag is somewhat popular. It's gaining in popularity. Um, so if there's something unique to your area that a lot of people would recognize and that you see on some other apparel, the same type of thing, I would say something like that. Print something like that and give it away. Like if you get an order, give them a few of those shirts. Like give them a really nice tri-blend shirt with a really cool design printed on it. Throw those in the box and try and either guess what size they wear so that you can do it as a surprise, or ask them, hey, what size do you wear? I want to throw in a freebie. So give those away. And if they're really nice quality shirts, like the Belly Canvas tri-blends or something, um, they'll love it. And they might even order those next time, but they're going to wear that out and it's going to be a conversation starter. So I would give away the shirts as much as you can. Um, if you're looking to do business with some of the local companies, like, I print for a couple of coffee shops nearby, a wine bar, um, another restaurant, just a few other businesses like that. Um, there was like a gift shop or something, like a flower shop. There's all kinds of these places locally that I print for that I do have companies that have found me, but some of them, like the flower shop, I sparked up conversation. I purchased from them. I became their customer first. If I want to do business with somebody, I try to do business with them first. So that's how I start the conversation. Hey, I'm going to purchase from you. I'm going to buy from you, and I'm going to support you. And then I'm going to let you know, hey, by the way, if you ever have any needs for apparel, I'd love to help you out with that. Like I do that. I'm local. I'm nearby. But I get to know them first and then break the ice that way. So with the flower shop, I was buying a bouquet of flowers, complimenting them constantly, and just I made some comment about how she's like, hey, I'm sorry, it was taking her a while. She was really busy, which was great to see. And I was like, no, it's great. I have a small business myself, so I love seeing other small businesses busy because you're growing, you're making money, so do not apologize to me. And she was like, oh, well, what's your business? There you go. I was able to tell her, and now I have her business as well. Um, Same thing with the wine shop. They were opening up. I shot them a message like, hey, see you guys are opening up. I'm excited to see that come to our area. I print t-shirts. I'm a startup just like yourself, and the only company local actually that's doing it, printing locally. And I'd love to print for you. Can we meet and chat? Would you like me to bring by some samples? And so I did it that way. So there are some times you can reach out, cold call sort of like that and connect. But if it's an already established business and they're either getting low quality or there's not any others in your area that are doing printing in your area, like I said, well, I've got some apparel companies here in my town. I've got one other, but they're a franchised company and they're not doing their own printing, which is fine. But that's kind of a selling point for me. Like, hey, I'm printing here in this town. I am a local in this town and I'm the one doing the actual printing. So I think that's a great way to get your business kind of out there. Giving away shirts, give them to friends and family, because your friends and family will meet somebody. They already know people who need custom t-shirts. They just have never thought about it, or like the person has mentioned it and it just went right past them. So, um, give them a bunch of free stuff. And then as soon as they hear somebody mention it, oh, hey, my cousin, my whatever does this. Let me put you in touch with them because they could do it for you. So give away t-shirts. I think that's the best way to gain business when you're starting out. A lot of work for schools, churches, and small businesses. Yep, same here. I don't do, actually I do a couple of churches, but they're back in Tennessee. So I ship those out to them, but I do a couple of schools like I did tonight or today. And those are good too. What other questions? Got about 10 more minutes or so to answer some more questions. So let me know what you got. I'm going to get this other screen set up and going for later. Yeah, it's good. I think there's just a lot of word of mouth in this industry. I don't think you have to. I think if you're buying like advertising on Facebook and stuff, honestly, I think you're wasting money unless you're a retail brand, you know, maybe a little bit different. But if you're printing for other people, I think advertising, especially on Facebook, is a waste of money. Anybody else just getting started with printing like Carmelo? Anyone else watching? You haven't yet spoke up in the chat and you're just getting started with printing. Give me a thumbs up or like in the chat, your favorite emoji, something. Carmelo, would you ever give away Gildan shirts? What's the best way to put this? Not for any reason that you could ever come up with. I could not more adamantly say no. I will never do a giveaway shirt as a cheap shirt. When the printed shirt is your business, it needs to be the best. And honestly, even if you're the local chiropractor giving away free shirts, do not give away a cheap shirt. If a company comes to you and they want you to print a bunch of shirts for a giveaway that they're doing and they want to keep the price low, I would kindly encourage them. Hey, let me encourage you that your customers want the best from you. They deserve the best from you. And they want to know they're doing business with the best. And if you don't value them enough to give them a high quality shirt, they will not value you enough to keep it or continue wearing it. And they will hesitate to do business with you. Maybe not knowingly, but in the back of their mind, it will impact them that you gave them a cheap, rinky-dink shirt. Like, just do good quality. Like, no, don't give away a Gildan shirt. I'm a firm believer in that. I think you should give away the best quality shirt you have that's out there. For me, my recommendation is that's a Bella Canvas 3413 tri-blend shirt. It is a unisex. It is praised nonstop to me by people of all ages and all sex. So girls and guys both love it, and adults and kids both love it. It is my number one seller. Most of my customers, probably 80% of my customers, go with a tri-blend shirt. And they go with that Bella Canvas tri-blend because it's the one I recommend and they don't know the others. Next Level has a great one too, but we love the fit of the Bella Canvas. It's what I've got on right now. We love the color options of Bella Canvas. There's just so much to love about it. So if you're doing a giveaway, if you're giving away free shirts, it needs to be the best of the best because that's what your customers deserve. And if you want them to have an experience with you or get a feel for what it is like to do business with you, give them your best because then they're going to be attracted to that. If you just give them a cheap shirt, they're going to like, yeah, but this is nothing special. Like I can get a better shirt at Walmart. So no, I'll try to stay off the soapbox. Don't give away Gildan shirts. Don't use Gildan at all. This is about as close as I want to get. These t-shirts that I just did. These were just standard cotton shirts, and they're Tultex, so they're cheap. But even then, they're not gilded. I just don't like gilded. I think it's a terrible shirt. It's not comfortable. I've never had one that I got as a freebie that I kept, and most of the time I didn't wear it. And if I did keep it, it became a rag or something. So I don't think a Gildan shirt is worth giving to anyone. I don't think it's worth paying for either. I have a customer that's about to place another order. They order once a year, once every 18 months or so. And they do essentially Gildan shirts. It was Anvil before because it was a good alternative to Gildan. They wanted something cheap, but it was better than Gildan. Now Gildan bought Anvil several years ago, and so now it has been rebranded. The Anvil brand has been dropped completely, and it's a Gildan shirt, which is kind of a bummer, but oh well. They're a shipping company. They don't really care. They need something that's super durable, not super comfortable. So standard cotton shirt is pretty durable. What else? What other business questions, printing questions, marketing questions, feedback on any of my videos, ideas for future videos? What do we got? Got a few more minutes. Yeah, they do want cheap. They do want, but um, there are just better brands to do cheap, like Toltex. On my customers that need it to be low cost, I steer them towards something like Toltex or a Bella Canvas cotton. Um, Sometimes it's getting to where nowadays, like depending on what their print is and what you want to offer them, and sometimes I'll give the customer the price, like hey, here's the cheap standard cotton shirt, but hey, just so you know, it's only like 25 cents more or $1 more or whatever it is, or even if it's $3 more. It's if they're only doing 12 shirts, an extra 30-40 bucks is not that big a deal. So I'll let them know, hey, you think you want a nice cotton shirt, but I get a lot of compliments from people who get these tri-blend shirts and work out in them. So maybe a tri-blend shirt would be more comfortable for a lawn care company. I don't know. So that's a great time when you like toss one in there, even print one with their logo, and give it to them that way. And they may want to come back to that. And it's not that you're going to make more money off that tri-blend shirt versus the cotton shirt. Um, Unless you do your pricing that way. I don't make any more money off of that shirt versus a standard shirt, but they're just going to be happier and they're going to wear it even when they're not mowing, or working. And that's going to cause, other conversations. So it's not about making more money. It's about just increasing the happiness of your customer with that product. So when you can, I like to just throw in an extra and print that for them. Just because you never know. I've had customers come back and say, "Hey, I love that extra one you threw in there. What was that? Like, how much does that cost?" And so we get to start the conversation, and they come back for more, which is nice. But you're right. I mean, I have a painting company that I print shirts for, and they do a standard cheap Gildan shirt, the 50/50, the cheap one, and that's fine. Good minimum amount of shirts to print when starting, like an order minimum to require. Is that what you mean? Carmelo, is that what you mean? Just like an order minimum? I don't see any chat coming in yet. Maybe you've already said it and it's just not coming. There it goes. Yep. I recommend 12. I mean, I think it's a good place to start, especially if you don't really understand or know your detailed cost breakout yet. Um, it is pretty much an industry standard as a starting point. As you get into a lot of the bigger companies, some of them have gone to more of like a 24, 25. I've even seen some at like 40 or 50, 60 even minimums. There's a company in the area that I've worked with in the past that does a minimum based on the print type. So a one location print, the minimum is 24. A two location, the minimum is 48. So you can break that out to depend on what type of print it is. But I think a good industry standard that most shops start with, it's what I do, is 12. Um, so I would let people know, hey, yeah, my minimum is 12. Now you will get people that say, oh, I just need 6. So you can go about this a couple of ways. You can say, no, sorry, hard pass. I do 12, that's my minimum. You buy 12 or you go somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with that. You are not losing business by doing that. You are only attracting the right type of customer. You don't want the person looking for just onesie twosies, unless you have like DTG or something like that. But if you're wanting to, you could just be a stickler about your minimums. The other way is you could say, yeah, I have a minimum. I can do a couple of shirts, but the cost is way up there. I mean, if you want to pay $75 a shirt for 2 shirts, that's fine. You can give them a price. So you could go that route. Say, well, I have a minimum, but I can do more. It's just it doesn't really make sense from a cost perspective for the customer for me to do less than 12. And in fact, I tell my customers I have a minimum of 12, but they begin to be more cost effective at 25. So as you go up in number, the price seems more realistic, for a lot of people. So you can set a minimum, but you can also allow for less and just charge more. We used to do it at the print company I used to work at. We'd say, hey, yeah, we could do 12, or we could do 6. Like they just come, hey, I want 6 shirts. I'm like, yeah, you could do 6. That's going to cost you, I'll just throw out a number. That's going to cost you $300. If you do 12 and you reach our minimum with the cost per shirt going down as you add more shirts, if you do 12, it's only going to be $275. So we could do 6 for 300, or we could do 12 for 275. So you decide. And sometimes you will get people that say, oh, I just need 6. I don't want extras. I don't want 6 more shirts. I only want 6 and I'll pay $300 for it. So just decide which way you want to do that. You kind of fill it out depending on the customer, figure out, what it seems like they're going to go for, what they're looking for, what their budget is, but yeah, I think a good industry standard is going to be 12. It's a good place to start. All right, I got time for probably one more question, then I'm going to have to go wake my son up because he's not awake. And if I don't wake him up, he's not going to go to sleep tonight. So I got a 3-year-old and an 11-year-old. My daughter's 11. She's at a horse riding lesson this morning. She shows horses. I grew up on a horse farm, and my wife grew up riding and showing. She actually showed for our college that we went to, and I played baseball. But got 2 kids. One more question. Let's hear it. What do we got before we drop off? We got 6 of you still on. Somebody throw out a question or comment or future video idea. Even better. What should I talk about next? That's cool, Les. Yeah, I've never done screen printed transfers. Obviously, I'm doing water based, so it's not as easily done with water based as it is. But I do love hats. This is actually a DTF from Stalls. This is the Stalls, or kind of blurry there. Why is it so blurry? There it is. I don't know. Anyways, I love the DTF stuff for hats. And I love hats. Being a baseball player, I love hats. So I think throwing in a cap and a koozie is a great idea, especially because people don't always know that there are other options to decorate more than just apparel. And if you're printing water-based, I mean, you could do posters. If you're doing it for an event, you're printing shirts for an event, print it on a poster and give them that poster, or ask them if they need, advertising posters. Koozies is a great one. Yeah, a lot of koozies for weddings. Do you ever print directly to the koozies, or are you just doing transfers? I've never printed koozies. Um, I've never had anybody ask it. So thought about it, and I do have my those little platen attachments that I have, the little print slayer things that goes on the platen. So you should do a heat transfer for numbers and names. Oh man, I did that like twice and I hated it. I did uniforms. God, I hated it, and I swore I'd never do it again. It's so complicated. God, there's so many variables. It's so hard to determine price, and it's just a pain in the butt. I just hated doing it. Um, but Carmelo, you should do a vlog of your day as a screen printer. If I did printing full time, I would do that. But my day is sitting behind a computer, um, teaching other people how to use their marketing automation software, or scheduling, creating their marketing automation programs for them. So my day itself is not super interesting, but maybe I could do some short videos on just the things that I do in the evenings, or at whenever I do stuff for the print shop. So maybe I could do a little something like that. But man, you guys are really that interested in? I don't know. It's just I'm not an interesting guy, so. Um, but I do want to do more things that get people behind the scenes, and you see how what it's like to have a print business. So maybe I should do more. Just, hey, this is what I'm doing. Um, it was worth a shot. Yeah. Well, maybe I can come up with something like that, where, like I said, hey, I'm just down here cleaning tonight or whatever. Yeah, that's what I did last time, Les. I thought, how much money do I want to make off this if I'm willing to do it? And they went for it. So, but yeah, I hate doing uniforms and stuff. All right, I got to run. Need to go wake my son up. Thank you, everyone that joined. I appreciate the support. I hope that if you watched the printing that you enjoyed it. And again, I always say I want to do more of these, so I'm going to try and do more of these. I might try and print these shirts tonight or tomorrow night. So I might do a live tonight or tomorrow night. So just check. I'll try to post on Instagram whenever I do that. I wish I could go live on Instagram. They haven't added that functionality to my account yet. So I wish they'd go ahead and just release it for everybody, but maybe at some point. So check the Instagram and see. I'll try and post on there if I do go live. But otherwise, thank you all for your support. Thanks for watching. Have a fantastic weekend.